This is one of the most contentious questions in motorcycling. How thirsty are Superbikes? Because we all know that they're incredibly powerful, but how much fuel do they actually go through? And more importantly, if you own one, how far can you expect to go between feet? Well, we answer this question once and for all today, and there may be some surprises along the way. So let's get into it. I'm your host, and you're watching this channel. Remember to hit subscribe so you don't miss any awesome videos. Today we're going to look at the fuel consumption of every single current production Superbike. We'll look at how much fuel they use per mile and compare that to their performance. So, by the end of the video, you'll have a good idea of how these bikes really stack up against each other when it comes to fuel consumption. So what exactly is a Superbike? Well, in simple terms, it's a motorcycle with a high-performance engine and chassis designed for both track and road use. They typically have inline-4 or V-twin engines displacing anywhere from around 900cc all the way up to 1,500cc. The modern Superbikes trace their roots back to homologation specials of the 1970s and 80s, where manufacturers raced tuned versions of their production motorcycles in the famed World Superbike Championship. Nowadays, though, with most manufacturers having their own dedicated racing series, the connection between the two has become somewhat diluted. Nevertheless, they're still immensely fun motorcycles to ride on, both road and track. When it comes to fuel consumption, it's worth remembering that the vast majority of Superbikes are ridden on the road. So it's no surprise that manufacturers spend considerable time and effort in making sure that these bikes offer a decent real-world range. To start, then we have the smallest capacity bike here, the Yamaha YZF-R7, which uses a 689cc parallel twin. This gives us a power-to-capacity ratio of around 100 to brake horsepower per liter, which is unpad at all. The R7 is also one of the lightest bikes in this list, weighing just 188 kilograms. Now, according to the official EU test cycle, this bike returns an impressive 6.1 liters per 100 kilometers. This translates to a theoretical range of over 330 miles. On paper at least, you could easily see this bike returning well over 200 miles on a single tank in the real world. In fact, we saw almost 200 miles on our long-term R7. So that's not bad at all. Next up is the Suzuki GSX-R 750. Now this bike uses an older design 749cc inline-4, and as a result, it has a lower power-to-capacity ratio than the R7 at just 99.8 brake horsepower per liter. It also weighs a fair bit more at 207 kilograms, and as a result, its theoretical range is considerably less than the R7 at just 270 miles. If you're a regular viewer, you'll know that we recently dyno-tuned a GSX-R 750 and found it to be even thirstier than this. So expect real-world fuel economy to be even lower than this. Up next is the BMW's 100RRR, and this is the first of 5 bikes in this video with an inline-4 engine over 1,000cc with 103.4 brake horsepower per liter and a curb weight of 204 kilograms. The S100RRR has a theoretical range of 287 miles. Not bad at all. That said, it should be noted that BMW quotes fuel consumption of 6.4 liters per 100 kilometers. But we recently did a video of this bike where we recorded a best case figure of 7.2 liters per 100 kilometers. That's because the claimed figure is achieved at a much lower speed. So expect the real-world fuel economy to be closer to 7.2 liters per 100 kilometers. The Kawasaki ZX-10R shares the same 999.9cc inline-4 engine as the S100RRR, but due to its slightly lighter weight of 201 kilograms, it does have a slightly better theoretical range of 289 miles. But the Big 4 inline-4 really starts with the Honda CBR100RR Fireblade. This iconic motorcycle has been a mainstay of the Superbike class for years, and with a 999.9cc engine and curb weight of 201 kilograms, it has a theoretical range of 290 miles. All these bikes are very close in terms of outright performance, but the Fireblade does lack a little in the power-to-capacity ratio department with just 100.3 brake horsepower per liter. That said, it makes up for this with its lightweight and impressive chassis. Next up is the Ducati 1299 Panigale V4. And now, we enter the land of the V-twins. Ducati's 1,285cc motor produces 158.7 brake horsepower per liter, and with a curb weight of 193 kilograms. The Panigale has a theoretical range of 336 miles. But this is a claimed figure, and we all know that Ducati's claim is as good as gold. Expect this bike to be considerably thirstier than this in the real world. Interestingly, the smaller capacity V4 gets will return much better fuel economy, but that bike is no longer sold in the US market. The next two bikes both come from KTM, and they are the only two bikes in this list that actually use a smaller capacity 790cc parallel twin. The KTM RC8C is the more track-focused of the two and has a power-to-capacity ratio of just 96.8 brake horsepower per liter. As a result, its theoretical range is 340 miles. However, the standard RC8 has a power-to-capacity ratio of 101.2 brake horsepower per liter, and thanks to its slightly heavier weight of 206 kilograms, it has a slightly worse theoretical range of 333 miles. Both these bikes use a completely different engine layout to everything else in this video, so it'll be interesting to see how they actually stack up in the real world. And while we're talking about the 790, here's a great opportunity to promote our website. Go to our website and you can find a comprehensive review of the KTM 790, written by yours truly. You can also find reviews on all the other bikes in this list, plus a whole lot more. Now we move on to the most expensive bike on this list, the limited edition Yamaha M1. Just like the R7, this bike uses a 689cc parallel twin, but due to its risingly focused, it has a substantially higher power-to-capacity ratio of 160.6 brake horsepower per liter. Thanks to its carbon fiber and magnesium construction, the M1 weighs just 168 kilograms and as a result has a phenomenal theoretical range of 433 miles. Unfortunately, unless you happen to be Valentino Rossi, you probably won't be seeing one of these on the road anytime soon. Next up is the Aprilia RSV4, and while it shares the same capacity as the other inline 4 bikes, it has a higher power-to-capacity ratio of 104.6 brake horsepower per liter. This combined with a curb weight of 209 kilograms gives the RSV for a theoretical range of 282 miles. A claimed fuel consumption figure of 6.1 liters per 100 kilometers is pretty impressive, but in reality, expect this figure to be closer to the BMW and the Honda at around 7.2 liters per 100 kilometers. Last but not least, we have the biggest bike in this list, the 1,491cc Ducati V4R, with 133.2 brake horsepower per liter and a curb weight of 193 kilograms. The V4R has a theoretical range of 319 miles. Again, I wouldn't expect that figure to be anywhere near accurate, and it's worth remembering that the V4R is a homologation special created specifically to allow Ducati to race the bike in World Superbike, so it was never intended to be a particularly economical motorcycle. So there you have it, a definitive guide to Superbike fuel consumption. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope it answered some questions. Now remember, the fuel consumption figures for the road will always be worse than the claimed figures, but if you ride sensibly, you shouldn't have too many problems getting anywhere between 200 and 300 miles on most of these bikes. And if you want to see a full comparison between the Honda Fireblade and the BMW's 100RR, check out our latest video right here.